Hello. Good morning, everyone. Yes. Good morning. Yesterday, you got one set of question. 12, 10 questions were there. Section A and section B. I hope you did well. And some of the, sample answer of those questions I have prepared here. Just I want to share. This is how do you put the principles of communicative language teaching approach into practice. Design at least three communicative language teaching activities. For this question, this is the answer frame. Answer frame is this. So first, we briefly talk about CLT. Then we write about principles of CLT. Okay. Then some ways of putting principles into practice, design three CLT activities, and concluding sentence, if possible, we write. So here, this is the just background part. English language teaching in Nepal is teaching English as a foreign language. Is a foreign language. Teaching English language has been guided by different communicative approaches. This means building confidence in using English as well as developing communicative competence are the prime goals of English language teaching. English language teaching can be made communicative, interactive, collaborative, and cooperative using a variety of contexts, text, tasks, and activities. This is just introduction part. There are many principles suggested by communicative language teaching approach. They are directly and indirectly using in our ELT class. Some of the major principles of CLT approach are given like this: contextualization. Basic idea: communicative competence is the desired goal of language teaching, meaning is post than form. Judicious use of learners' mother tongue is sought. Dialects can be used. Translation can be done only when it is necessary. Then this is the situation. How do you put into practice? The above mentioned principles of CLT can be put into practice using a variety of context and tasks. For example, to teach different language skills and aspects, we can create live and fresh context where students get ample opportunities to practice English communicatively. While teaching language functions, suggesting, requesting, introducing, expressing likes and dislikes, we can create context like my brother is very poor in English. How can he improve his English? This is for suggestion. I'm going to attend my friend's birthday party. What do you suggest to buy for him? This is a kind of suggestion also here. I like Momo. What do you like? This is expressing likes and dislikes. I forgot. Forget my pen. Could you could you give could you give me your pen? So this is requesting. In the above mentioned context or situation, students get chance to practice English communicatively. And then the three communicative language teaching activities are described below. Here some we list and then we briefly talk about um, three activities here: language games, use of songs, use of pictures. This and concluding sentence. So, in conclusion, the principles of CLT can be put into practice by using a variety of texts and tags. The focus should be on building confidence in using English and developing communicative competence in English. So, this is one sample answer. What areas of English language do you teach in English as a foreign language? Discuss with examples the activities that can be used to teach language areas you mention. यो पनि थियो एउटा क्वेसन होइन. यो क्वेसनमा साथीहरूको सबैको ठिकै छ होइन. कतिपयले मलाई मेलमा पनि पठाउनु भएको छ. Like brief introduction about areas अथवा English language teaching English language teaching we do. Then what different areas of English language teaching are activities with examples to teach different areas of English language and concluding sentence like this. So English language is foreign language in Nepalese context. Teaching English as foreign language in Nepalese context should focus on some areas of English language. There are some language areas for which we prepare daily lesson activities. The potential language areas are what? Language skills. We teach listening, we teach speaking, we teach reading, we teach writing. Then aspects, we teach grammar, we teach vocabulary, we teach function, we teach pronunciation. So language skills and aspects are the areas of English language teaching. This we do. And present lower secondary English curriculum focuses on building confidence in using English and developing communicative competence on the part of students. यो दुईटा चाहिँ बिर्सनै भएन. Building confidence in using English and developing communicative competence. यो दुईटा चाहिँ. So present lower secondary English curriculum highlights focuses on these two aspects of English language teaching, like building confidence in using English and developing communicative competence. These two parts. यो दुईटा चाहिँ अलिक ख्याल गर्नु पर्यो है त. एन्सर लेख्दा जता पनि यसलाई मिलाएर लेख्न पाइयो. On the part of students, keeping this policy idea, यो policy idea किन भने भन्दा curriculum is policy document हैन. र करिकुलममा यो कुराहरु राखिएको छ. त्यही भएर keeping this policy idea in mind, teaching different language areas should be planned accordingly. This means we can create variety and maintain flexibility in English language class. For variety and flexibility, we can utilize many fun type of activities and text based on the student's interest. Text or tags activities use गर्नु पर्यो. Some of the major classroom activities that can be used while teaching different areas of English language are given below along with their examples. Like games, language games, songs, rhymes, chants we use, picture we use, real objects we use, role play, dramatization, drilling, dictation, loud reading, storytelling, panel discussion. This we discuss. So use of language game हामीले अगाडि क्वेशन भनेको भएर यहाँ लेखिएन. use of songs, use of pictures, we have already written in the first question. त्यो लेखिएन. dictation मा चाहिँ like classroom steps, like the teacher reads short and simple text. The students listen to the teacher. They listen and write in their note copy. The teacher checks and provides feedback if any. In this activity, students learn listening skill, writing skill, develop vocabulary, knowledge. So role play also, like classroom mistake. The teacher creates some situations like one stranger person is visiting new place. He or she needs to be familiar with the ways to get there. Cue dialogue of teacher and students we can use, like this is the first step, situation. And he or she assigns roles to the students. They act on the roles. In doing so, they learn conversational language. For example, one example दियो. Example ma जस्तै stranger भन्छ, hi, could you help me? How can I get to the post office, to the school, like this? Local person, hello, of course, now you are here, so you go from this way and walk 5 minutes take turn on your left and right, like this instruction or direction he or she can give. In this way, we can teach English, different areas of English like listening, speaking, reading, writing, grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary. These are the different content areas of English language. In conclusion, teaching different areas of English language can be made fun, interesting, enjoyable, and pleasurable. For this, game-like activities should be planned and used. Game-like, खेल जस्तो के game-like activities should be planned and used. यो पनि क्वेसन थियो तपाईहरुलाई. There are many approaches, methods, and techniques we use in English language teaching and learning. None of them is perfect to address classroom reality. They also have something new to offer in helping learners to learn English. In this situation, what applications do you see? Do you draw one? It's okay. What application do you draw? Draw that can be used, used or applied, that can be applied for effective English language teaching and learning. Discuss. यहाँ पनि brief introduction about approach, method, and technique we do, and this is what critical analysis we do from both perspectives, negative and positive perspective, if possible. Discover the application of different approach, method, and technique we do here. Okay, if possible, then okay. Now, concluding sentence, if possible, we write. This is what answer framework. English language teaching has been guided by different theories, approaches, and methods and techniques. Approach is vision, dream, theoretical belief, understanding about what language is and how language learning happens or takes place. Method is link between vision and action. Method provides systematic presentation of language. Similarly, technique is what? Technique is action. Technique is action which exactly takes place in language classroom. So, approach is vision. Technique is action. Method is what? Link between vision and action. So, in this way, just brief introduction we provide. There are many approaches, methods, and techniques we use in English language class. Some of the examples of them are given below. Approach CLT, TBLT, CLIL, these are the examples. CLT means communicative language teaching. TBLT means task-based learning language teaching. Task-based language teaching. CLIL means content and language integrated learning. So these are three different approaches just to mention here. And method ma chahi GT method, direct method, audiolingual method, etc. Technique ma chahi is student focused and teacher focused activities are there. Now, when we put our critical lens in real practice, what we see is English teachers have access in different approaches, methods, and techniques. My access cha, pauncha, have access. They try to create variety and flexibility in their presentation. However, there is no such pedagogical practice that can address diverse learning circumstances. For example, communicative language teaching is an approach. It has suggested many principles that can put into practice to create communicative and interactive learning environment. But Nepalese ELT classroom, but in Nepalese ELT classroom, we don't find such supporting environment to put the principles of CLT into practice. There are large number of students. Class size is small. Desks and benches are fixed and not movable. In this situation, using communicative games, group work, etc., will be very difficult. So, classroom situation might dictate teacher to use grammar translation or audiolingual, etc. From the above discussion, what can be drawn is in the complexity, heterogeneous multiplicity, and diverse learning circumstances, English teacher should not restrict himself or herself within a particular approach, method, and technique. This means whatever the classroom situation dictates, accordingly, accordingly, uh, accordingly, teacher should engage the learners. For this, the following types of applications uh, can be drawn. Drawn, like yeah, here few points I have mentioned. Like English language teaching should be based on practicality. It should focus on inherent potentiality. One thing, and should be based on practicality. Real world link should be there, bringing outside world inside the classroom. Inherent potentiality would focus, and this is what possibility, learners possibility, we try to explore. And English language teaching should search or seek, खोज्नु पर्छ, for best fit practice than best practice. असल अभ्यास भन्दा पनि कन्टेक्स्टमा फिट हुने, कन्टेक्स्टमा फिट हुने एक्टिभिटीहरू खोज्नुपर्छ, नट बेस्ट प्र्याक्टिस बट बेस्ट फिट प्र्याक्टिस. यो बेस्ट फिट प्र्याक्टिसमा जाने हो. An eclectic way and pragmatic way of teaching and learning should be focused. Here, eclectic means what? Combination, combination or mixed. And pragmatic means contextual teaching. यसलाई फोकस गर्नुपर्छ अब हामीले. Eclectic way, pragmatic way of teaching and learning should be focused much. And flexibility and variety we should create, should be created and maintained using a variety of activities borrowed from different approaches, methods, and techniques. So in this way, the application can be do not limit within particular approach, do not restrict within particular theory, approach, method, and technique. Whatever the classroom situation demands and dictates, accordingly we have to plan the activities and use in English language classroom. So these are just sample answers. I will send. तपाईले पनि जान्नु भएको छ, आफ्नो पुरा यो कुराहरु राखेर एन्सर बनाउनु होला. ओके, इट्स जस्ट स्याम्पल. ओके, आई विल सेन्ड. आज पठाइदिन्छु है त यो. ल, अब हामी यो हिजोको कन्टेन्ट यो थिए एउटा दुईटा क्वेशनहरु. Okay. आज म पढाइदिन्छु. Now, Unit 8, Language and Linguistics. This, what is language we discussed? Brief introduction. And this is what your ideas. And some additional points. This is what species specific related to human being. And this is what special characteristic of human beings. Because of this kind of characteristic, human creature is superior creature in the world, and human civilization is possible due to language. This is humans' main characteristics, and it determines man's natural personality. We use language to store knowledge, then to transmit, to exchange, for communication, animal communication, and human language. short differences. Characteristics we discussed: displacement, arbitrariness. Displacement here refers to can talk about present, past, present, and future. But animals, have some system to communicate about present, past, and future. Arbitrariness means no connection. So this is what random production, no natural connection, scientific connection between the word which we use and the meaning which they refer to. Like example of dog we did, kukur in Nepali, kutta in Hindi, dog in English. So this is what four-footed, four-legged pet animal, and there is no any such natural connection. Why this is kutta in Hindi? Why this is dog, in English? Why this is kukur in Nepali? So there is no such kind of natural connection or scientific reasons behind the use of word and the meaning it refers to. This is arbitrariness. Productivity language is rule governed. So finite set of rules are there, an infinite number of sentences can be produced, which are grammatically correct and acceptable and communicate meaning and message. So this is productivity. Cultural transmission from one person to another person, from one generation to another generation. We transmit language along with culture. So this is what cultural transmission. Duality of structure is another characteristic we did. And here, so when we produce language, we produce at two levels. One is what? Sound level. Another is what? Word level. Sound level is what? Pa, na, phonology. Pain morphology. So pain भन्दाखेरि pa, na, तीनटा sound पनि उच्चारण हुन्छ हैन. यो फोनोलोजी लेभलमा भयो. पेन भन्यो भने के हुन्छ नि, this is morphology. So you understand, modifiability means language change happens after long time practice. Change we see in the language. For example, the Nepali language which we use in the Prithviraj Saha period is different from the Nepali language which we are using nowadays. Prithviraj Sahaको पालाको नेपाली language र अहिलेको नेपाली language फरक छ. This is what changeability, modifiability, this we can say. Okay. Varieties we also discussed. Variety, this is what is used in socio-linguistic situation. Language in society. This means language in society. So when we use language in different societies, and the use becomes different, this is variety. Variety of language, like dialect, register, idiolect, pidgin, creole. These are the different varieties of language we discussed. A user-based variety is dialect, we said, and two types of dialect. One is a regional dialect, another is social dialect, we discussed. And then register is what? User-based. User-based variety is register. Idiolect, this is individual speaker. Individual speaker specific. The way I pronounce the words will be different from the way you pronounce. Pidgin, a variety of language which has no native speakers. Your native speakers main criteria, indicator of Pidgin. Pidgin is a variety of language, but it has no native speaker. So this is trade language, link language, auxiliary language, lingua franca we said, and we also said um, all lingua francas are pigeon, but all pigeons are not. All pigeons are not. के भन्यो हामीले यसलाई चाहिँ यसरी हेर्नु पर्ला all yes all lingua franca, all lingua francas francas are what? Pigeon, P-I-D-G-N, pigeon, but all pigeons, P-I-D-G-N, pigeons are not lingua francas. मिलिङ हेर्नु एकचोटि all lingua francas are pigeon, हैन? All lingua francas are pigeon, but all pigeons are not lingua franca. All pigeons are not lingua franca. ठीक छ यो? For example, English is what? E-N-G-L-I-S. English is what? Lingua franca. L-I-N-G-A. Lingua franca. But not pigeon. Pigeon चाहिँ भनेको के हो? यसले के भन्छ भन्नु त? English is lingua franca भनेको English is lingua franca but not pigeon. Pigeon चाहिँ होइन फेरि. के भन्नु पर्यो यसमा? All lingua francas are pigeon, but all pigeons are not lingua franca. यसलाई छोडिदिउँ, यो अलि नमिले जस्तो भयो. Okay. So Creole, this is what variety of language. We understand this is what when Pidgin receive its native speakers, then it turns into the Creole. Native speaker पाउने बित्तिकै Creole मा जान्छ यो चाहिँ हैन. So now approaches to language. Today we discuss this. So here approaches to the study of language. Some approaches we have, like we simply understand language is means of communication. In China, human source civilization, manav sabhyata, today we have is the result of language. Due to the language, human beings and animals are different creatures. यही language के कारणले हो animal र human being मा फरक भएको पनि. There are different elements that have been developed to the study of language. Some of them are just the language मा के हुन्छ structure हरु हुन्छ, pattern हरु हुन्छ हैन, structure patterns are there. Then this is what mental system. Then form, function, meaning, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, prescription, description, oral language, written language skills, oral language skills, written language skills, receptive skills, productive skills in China. So these are just some key points for the discussion. Approach now approach is vision. We understand, and this is your dream, theoretical belief and understanding of what language is. There are some approaches to the study of language. Some of them are given below. Prescriptive approach, descriptive approach, formal approach, functional approach. So these are some approaches. And these approaches view language from different perspectives. For angle body language like just like prescriptively ke bhancha bhane. So correct and incorrect form of language is the study area of this approach. Prescriptively prescribe गर्ने हो कि जस्तै डाक्टरले जसरी मेडिसिन प्रेस्क्राइब गर्छ यो अप्रोचले पनि यो करेक्ट हो यो इनकरेक्ट हो भनेर प्रेस्क्राइब गर्छ के. सो prescriptive approach is related to the prescription of correct and incorrect form of language. For example, यहाँ तल दिएको छ incorrect जस्तै who did you go with? Who did you go with भन्ने हामीले यो पनि भन्न सकेला, तर यसले के भन्छ करेक्ट इंग्लिश भनेको with whom did you go, यो प्रिपोजिसनलाई लास्टमा राख्नु हुन्न. सो प्रिपोजिसन should be used at the beginning भनेर यसले प्रेस्क्राइब गर्छ हैन. So this is what preposition, and then this approach prescribes. So you correct, you incorrect भन्ने चाहिँ के हो भने प्रेस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोचमा हो हैन. लाइक प्रेस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोच सजेस्ट हाउ वी शुड स्पीक एन्ड हाउ वी शुड नट स्पीक, कसरी बोल्ने कसरी नबोल्ने भन्ने कुरा. This approach prescribes standard and non-standard varieties of language will be distinguished by this approach. Standard variety is taken as good English, right? So so standard variety is taken as correct or good English. Prescriptive approach to language prescribes some rules for the proper use of language, such as sentence must not end with preposition भन्दो रहेछ क्या. जस्तै सेन्टेन्स चाहिँ प्रिपोजिसनमा एन्ड हुनु हुँदैन, क्वेशन प्रिपोजिसनमा एन्ड हुनु हुँदैन भन्ने एउटा एक्जाम्पल हो यसको. So this is the prescription. So this is prescriptive approach, prescribes what is right, what is wrong, what is correct, what is incorrect. Then this is what this prescribes the standard form of language, standard variety of language. Like who did you go with? हामीले यो पनि भनिन्छ बोलीचालीमा, तर correct form is what? With whom did you go? Because reason is what? This preposition does not appear or occur at the end of question or sentence. It should be at the beginning. This is correct form. This is what prescriptive approach. Prescriptive approach ले भन्ने यही हो. Then descriptive approach ले wrong, right, correct, incorrect भन्दैन. Descriptive approach ले चाहिँ के भन्छ भने in modern English literature, in modern English literature or in modern English linguistics, modern linguistics मा चाहिँ तपाईको any variety of language, any language can communicate its users communicative needs. जुनसुकै डायलेक्ट भनौं अथवा ल्याङ्ग्वेज भनौं ले पनि उसको युजरको चाहिँ कम्युनिकेटिभ निडलाई चाहिँ एक्सप्रेस गर्न सक्छ भने यो ठीक यो बेठिक भनेर भन्नु हुँदैन भन्छ डिस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोचले चाहिँ. फर एक्जाम्पल द भराइटी अफ ल्याङ्ग्वेज which I use can communicate, can express my communicative needs, and the variety of language which you use can express your communicative needs. If I have no communicative needs express गर्न सक्छ भने then this is standard, this is non-standard, this is correct, this is incorrect किन भन्ने भन्छ चाहिँ descriptive approach ले चाहिँ हैन. So according to this approach, language rules are the blueprint. खाका हो तिनीहरु हैन, फ्रेमवर्क हो. ब्लुप्रिन्ट मीन्स व्हाट? दिस इज व्हाट फ्रेमवर्क हैन. Language rules are the framework or blueprint for producing well-formed sentences. What speakers speak, that is language. जे भनिन्छ नि, जे बोलिन्छ नि त्यो ल्याङ्ग्वेज हो क्या. What speakers speak, that is language. There is no any concern or question or issue about what standard English, non-standard English, low level of English, high level of English. त्यस्तो भन्दा पनि whatever the speakers speak, that is language. जे बोल्छ त्यो ल्याङ्ग्वेज हो. So any variety of language, any dialect can express his or her users communicative needs. उसको communicative needs चाहिँ fulfill हुन्छ भने that is language, then that's fine. So it is not necessary to distinguish standard language, non-standard variety of language like this. So descriptive approach just describes. उसले describe मात्र गर्दिने हो. यो यस्तो भन्दिने मात्रै हो. यो गर्नुपर्छ यो गर्नु हुन्न भन्दैन डिस्क्रिप्टिभ चाहिँ. प्रिस्क्रिप्टिभ चाहिँ दिस इज रङ, दिस इज राइट, दिस शुड बी भनेर प्रेस्क्राइब गर्छ. बट डिस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोच डज नट प्रेस्क्राइब बट इट डिस्क्राइब्स. डिस्क्राइब गरिदिन्छ के यसरी युज भयो, यो हो भनेर भनिन्छ. किनभने what speakers use or speak, that is language. त्यही नै ल्याङ्ग्वेज हो. त्यही भएर त्यो 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 चाहिँ फरक भएन है if like if it further claims that any language or variety of language can fulfill the communicative needs of its user. This is important. जुनसुकै variety of language हामीले प्रयोग गरौँ हैन, then that can communicate or that can fulfill our communicative needs. That's fine. That is what language we are using. So there is not question of standard language, non-standard language like this. So therefore, why should we judge one is correct and the next is incorrect? Kina correct or incorrect one? Kina standard, non-standard one? So if the language, the variety of language which we use can communicate, can fulfill, can express our communicative needs, that's fine. So it does not make a distinction between what is standard and what is not standard. Rather, it describes language. It actually spoken or used. So no value judgments are made, judgment गरिँदैन, but rather value neutral terms such as grammatical and ungrammatical are used to distinguish between patterns. बरु ग्रामेटिकल र अनग्रामेटिकल छ भन्न सकिन्छ, तर यो ठिक र यो बेठिक, यो गर्नुपर्छ यो गर्नु हुँदैन भनेर प्रेस्क्राइब चाहिँ गर्दैन डिस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोचले. फर एक्जाम्पल, द काउ एट द कर्न हैन, द काउ एट द कर्न, मकै खायो हैन काउले, एट द कर्न द काउ, यो चाहिँ के हो, अनग्रामेटिकल भयो. सो दिस इज जस्ट वाट डिस्क्रिप्सन, यो डिस्क्राइब मात्र गरे हो भनेपछि दिस इज ग्रामेटिकल, दिस इज वाट एक्सेप्टेबल, this is meaningful, this is ungrammatical, this is not meaningful, this is not acceptable. यसरी डिस्क्राइब गर्न सकियो तर प्रेस्क्राइब गरिँदैन. दिस इज वाट अकॉर्डिंग टु वाट डिस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोच. सो प्रेस्क्रिप्टिभ एप्रोच प्रेस्क्राइब, दिस शुड बी सच, दिस इज करेक्ट, दिस इज इनकरेक्ट भनिन्छ, उसले प्रेस्क्राइब गर्छ. तर डिस्क्रिप्टिभले के गर्छ भने, सो जस्ट डिस्क्राइब्स दिस इज सच भनेर डिस्क्राइब गरिदिन्छ. देन formal approach to language study focuses on the generative capacity of the language, forms or structure of the language. It features of language looking at the patterns. Generative theory, generative theory like of language is example of this approach. Your approach ले चाहिँ generative theory ले चाहिँ example group लिन्छ हैन. In generative theory what happens is के भन्छ भने generative theory ले चाहिँ human language is rule governed. Human language is rule governed. Rule छ, pattern छ language मा हैन. Then there are finite set of patterns, finite set of rules. सीमित rule छ, structure छ, त्यसबाट असीमित sentences वाक्यहरु बनाउन सकिन्छ. So generative theory believes that language is represented as a speaker's mental grammar or set of abstract rules generating grammatical sentences. It claims that there are certain rules of language in terms of which finite number of it claims that there are certain rules of language in terms of which infinite number of sentences can be generated. So language is what? Language is rule governed and has generative capacity. Language rule governed ho, यसले generate गर्न सक्छ. So generate भनेको can produce, in one sense, can produce infinite number of sentences. So they produce not only grammatically well-formed sentences, but also meaningful and acceptable sentences. Acceptable sentences. For example, a well-formed but not meaningful is the colorless green idea silly furiously. So this kind of sentence also human mind can generate or produce. This is what grammatically, syntactically, this is fine. हाम्रो स्ट्रक्चर हेर्दाखेरि फाइन छ, एउटा सेन्टेन्स हो, syntax, well organized syntax. But when we see from the meaning perspective, and this is nonsense. यो यसको अर्थ छैन हैन, यस्तो पनि सेन्टेन्स प्रोड्युस गर्छ. This is what nonsense. अर्थ दिँदैन यसले हैन. So not only well formed but not meaningful. This kind of sentence also we can produce. Well formed and meaningful पनि हुन्छ. Classrooms are learning sites हैन. Classrooms are learning sites भन्यो, ठिक छ. This is grammatically also well formed, acceptable, meaningful हैन, syntactically fine, semantically also fine हैन. So formal approach ले चाहिँ हेर्ने भनेको language is rule governed phenomenon हैन. Rule governed phenomenon, PHE phenomenon हैन, phenomenon. So phenomena हैन, then has generative capacity, can produce only grammatically well-formed sentences. Not only that, but also what sentences are meaningful, sentences are acceptable. This kind of study of language is what a formal approach to language. यसलाई चाहिँ formal approach to language भनिन्छ. Descriptive approach just describes, you know, there is no standard and non-standard variety. Whatever the speaker speak, that is language. Every variety, every type of variety of language can or has potentiality to fulfill the communicative needs of his user speaker. Then there is no question, there is no concern of standard and non-standard, correct and incorrect. So this is what descriptive just describes. Then prescriptive prescribes should be the correct form. Then standard variety is preferable. Good English, correct English in this way. Prescriptive approach, descriptive approach, formal approach. Then a functional approach can also be used. Like language has communicative property, and this should be focused. According to this approach, language is the product of series of functions like getting things done, then socialization, seeking factual information, so these are what अथवा यसलाई अझै यसरी भन्दा पनि हुन्छ. सिधै यो चाहिँ कम्युनिकेटिभ फंक्सन हो हैन. ल्याङ्ग्वेज फंक्सन भन्दा पनि यो कम्युनिकेटिभ functions. Then we can say language functions. Language functions such as greeting, welcoming, introducing, etc. So according to this approach, language is the product of series of communicative function and language functions. For example, language functions are greeting, welcoming, introducing, requesting, suggesting, etc. This approach to language study shifted the focus from correctness to suitable use of language. Communicative and dynamic nature of language was recognized and highlighted. So these are the points. Formal मा चाहिँ के हेरौं भने formal approach मा चाहिँ वो यो generative यो rule को भनेर हैन. Language is what rule governed phenomenon. Rule governed phenomenon हो language भनेको. यो स्टडी गर्छ यसले हैन. Rule governed phenomenon, there are rules, certain rules, and using those certain rules can generate infinite number of sentences. धेरै भन्दा धेरै सेन्टेन्सहरु which we have never heard and seen. देख्दै नदेखेको सुन्दै नसुनेको सेन्टेन्स पनि हामी प्रोड्युस गर्न सक्छौं. This kind of generative capacity every language has. So this is what formal approach ले जोड दिने कुरा यो हो. For example, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. यो पनि उले स्टडी गर्छ तर के भन्छ भने this is syntactically correct, but semantically this is not acceptable. So second sentence is what classrooms are learning sites. This is what syntactically also fine, subject, verb, object like this. Then semantically also fine. So के भन्छ भने formal approach ले rules are there, and speakers use or utilize those rules and what produce or generate infinite number of sentences which are grammatically correct also, semantically and syntactically also appropriate and acceptable in this way. यति कुराहरु चाहिँ फर्मलमा हेरौं. फंक्सनलमा चाहिँ फंक्सनलाई जोड्दियौं र अब हामी बेसिक कन्सेप्ट हेरौं. यिनीहरु चाहिँ सर र आइडिया लिने हो. आइडिया लिनुस् अलिकति implication of linguistics र comparison of sound system अलि डिटेलमा बुझ्न पर्यो. यिनीहरुको थ्योरी कुरा हो. यसो सर बुझ्दै जाउँ. क्वेशन पनि लास्टमा हेरौँ हैन यो युनिटबाट. So basic concepts of linguistics. Now may I request you all to write some points about what is linguistics. Linguistic के बुझ्नु भएको छ chat box मा लेखिदिनुस् त ल त. What is linguistics? May I request you all? Go on. What is linguistics? How do you understand this science of language? Okay, scientific study of language. Okay, science of. One sentence is what? Scientific study of language. Yes, ScientificTIFIC, scientific. TIFIC, scientific study of language. Okay, you agree? You agree on this point? That's fine. Linguistic is the scientific. Okay. सबै ए लेख्नु भएको छ. अर्को पनि लेखौँ अब. Linguistic is scientific study of language, which study language from overall perspective. Okay. Art of language. Go on. It describes the nature of language. Yes, this is one more. It describes the nature of language. Oh, you want to try. लेख्दै जाउँ त. Scientific study of language, describe nature of language, sound system of language. Okay, it studies sound system of language. Okay, ठिक छ. अहिले यही पोइन्टको आधारमा छलफल गरौँला. It studies language, sounds भन्नुभएको छ. At each level भनिदिउँ न. At each each level. There are different levels of language, हैन. So linguistics studies language at its level, talks about different aspects of language. So you have said theoretical assumption. There one. Yes. Follows the system of observation. Yes. यहाँनिर चाहिँ एकजना लेख्नु भएको छ. Linguistics is scientific study of के हो त? Human language हो फेरि यहाँ. Human language छोड्नु भएन. Scientific study of human language. It follows the system of पहिला observation गर्छ, hypothesis बनाउँछ, experiment गर्छ, and theory discovery हुन्छ हैन. DISCOVER, discovery of theory. So these processes, linguists they follow. It follows the system, or it follows the process. PROCESS, processes like observation will be there, hypothesis formation will be there, experimentation will be there, and then what? Discovery. EXPERIMENTATION, experimentation and discovery of theory. That's fine. Because of this scientific किन भने भन्दाखेरि त्यसलाई प्रुभ गर्न सक्नु पर्यो के. Because of this evidence हुनु पर्यो र कसैले चाहिँ चाह्यो भने त्यो प्रक्रिया अवलम्बन गरेर त्यहाँ पुग्न सक्नु पर्यो. So this is what linguistics भनेको तपाईको के भन्छ भने justifiable, verifiable and observable, then experimentable हुन्छ linguistics के scientific भनेको चाहिँ. The linguistic is scientific study of human language. It follows the processes like observation, hypothesis formation, experimentation, and what discovery of theory. We will have what like like एउटा दुईटा theory भन्नु त linguistic example दिन पर्यो. Like sociolinguistic भनौँ न, sociolinguistic, sociolinguistics हैन, psycholinguistic हैन, psycholinguistics हैन, PS psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics हैन. Then phonics, these are what linguistics, psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics. Then others, here the example भन्नुस् त, applied linguistics, okay, applied linguistics, you know. So these are what, these are different linguistic theories. These are different linguistic theories, etc. Pragmatics, these are what different levels of language, phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, discourse, and they are levels of language. Okay, so briefly, simply, what we understand is के बुझ्नु पर्यो भने, so linguistics is the study of human language. Human language is study of अरु होइन. Linguistic is the scientific study of human language. It follows certain processes and निश्चित प्रक्रियाहरू अवलम्बन गरेको हुन्छ. It follows certain processes like first observation हुन्छ, then hypothesis formation हुन्छ, then experimentation प्रयोग गरिन्छ, then what प्रयोग पछि के हुन्छ, discovery हुन्छ, discovery of theory. For example, भनेर we can give this kind of example, हैन. For example, sociolinguistic, psycholinguistic, applied linguistics, theoretical linguistics, historical linguistics. There are many, branches of linguistics, neurolinguistics. There are many branches of linguistics. So they are the examples of what linguistics. And it describes, it means, linguistics. Linguistics, linguistics चाहिँ आफैमा यो सिंगुलर हो, यो यास थप्नु पर्छ linguistics पछि. यो यास यो आउँछ यसमा चाहिँ. Linguistics itself is singular. Okay. Then it describes the nature of language. Nature of language because it studies language at each level. For example, for example, like सुरुबाट भन्दा phonetics हैन, phonetics, त्यसपछि phonology, then phonology पछि morphology, morphology पछि आउँछ syntax, syntax, syntax आउँछ, syntax पछि semantics आउँछ, semantics पछि pragmatic आउँछ, pragmatics पछि discourse हैन, discourse, discourse. They are the what different levels of language we discuss. Or linguistics studies language at different sound level, word level, then meaning level, sentence level, and then this is what literal meaning, semantics, literal meaning, pragmatics, contextual meaning, and discourse. This is what conversational language. So these things, what scientific spirit of language. Why? Yes, scientific spirit of language. Why? Discourse. This is what high level of language. So language used in conversation, language used in discourse. त्यो चाहिँ माथिल्लो लेभलको level of language होइन. So यहाँ हामीले सामान्य बुझौँ होइन, nature of language. त्यही भएर linguistic it studies होइन, studies, यसो describes होइन, अध्ययन गर्छ, describe गर्छ हैन it studies and describes languages अथवा human languages from the production point of view बाट हेर्छ त्यसपछि अर्गनाइजेसन हैन अर्गनाइजेसनल पर्सपेक्टिभ कसरी चाहिँ अर्गनाइज हुँदो रहेछ भनेर हेर्छ त्यसपछि डेभलपमेन्ट पर्सपेक्टिभ कसरी विकास हुँदै जान्छ भनेर हेर्छ हैन सो इट स्टडीज ह्युमन ल्याङ्ग्वेजेस फ्रम द प्रोडक्सन अर्गनाइजेसन एन्ड डेभलपमेन्ट पर्सपेक्टिभ्स कसरी प्रोड्युस हुन्छ ह्युमन स्पिच साउन्ड्सहरु लाइक we have 24 consonants and 20 vowels then how vowel sound and consonant sounds are produced कसरी प्रोड्युस हुन्छ प ब ट ड क ग फ ब थ द स ज ह म न ल र य यो 24 वटा consonant sound कसरी प्रोड्युस हुन्छ what are the places of articulation what are the manner of articulation what is the voicing quality के हो प भन्दा कसरी कुन आर्टिकुलेटर्सहरु इन्भल्भ हुन्छ त्यो हेर्ने चाहिँ के हो भने this is a production level बाट हेर्छ organizational level ma how sounds are put together or if we put the sounds together in a logical sequence then what happens and there will be what meaningful words meaningful phrases meaningful sentences will be formed so this is organization part then development part then in course of time how language is developing जस्तै हामीले अघि भन्यौ language is modifiable language is changeable and modifiable changeable cha language and the language which we used to use in Prithviraj period and the in the modern period so different there development perspective बाट पनि हेर्छ भाषाको विकास कसरी हुँदै आइरहेको छ भनेर production perspective बाट how human speech sounds are produced and organizational perspective बाट हेर्छ and how human sounds are organized how words are organized to convey meaning so a little bit about phonetics and phonology भन्नु छ so we talk about phonetics and phonology wait आउँछ यो पनि we talk about यो सबै लेभलहरु सबै हेरौँला हामी like phonetics phonology morphology syntax semantics pragmatics so सबै हेरौँला अहिले these are the basic concepts in what linguistics linguistic को basic concept यो हेर्नु पर्यो अनि बल्ल त्यसपछि हामी implication of linguistics and language teaching थोरै लेख्न सक्छौं त्यो यो नै बुझेन भने उता implication मा लेख्न गाह्रो हुन्छ हैन so we have to understand phonetics बुझ्नु पर्यो phonology बुझ्नु पर्यो हैन morphology and syntax semantics pragmatics यो बुझेपछि then we can write some implication as well as learning the linguistic theory हरु पनि बुझ्नु पर्यो like sociolinguistic psycholinguistic there are many other branches of linguistics then if we understand okay so in this way अहिले basic introduction part मा यति कुरा राख्नुस् linguistic is what one field of study भने पनि भो linguistic is scientific study of human language एउटा विधा नै हो नि यो त हैन भाषाको अध्ययन भन्ने एउटा विधा नै हो के यो one separate discipline हैन त्यो हामीले यसलाई यस्तो पनि भन्न सकिन्छ हैन linguistic is what LINGUISTICS linguistic is one separate discipline यो विधा नै हो हैन and if we talk in Nepalese context मा हेर्दाखेरि त linguistics को हाम्रो युनिभर्सिटीमा डिपार्टमेन्ट हो नै छ हैन linguistic डिपार्टमेन्ट छ अनि गएर हाम्रो यता तपाईको एजुकेसन इंग्लिशमा linguistics चाहिँ हाम्रो कोर्समा राखेको छ हैन डिपार्टमेन्ट छ so this is one separate discipline also one separate field of study also हैन and then this is what this is separate yes APA separate field of study language study we have separate department also in the university level and many courses are there about linguistics so this is one separate discipline separate field of language study and it studies language scientifically. This means it follows certain processes like observation or study. Observation study गर्छ, observation गर्छ अथवा स्टडी गर्छ हैन, अध्ययन गर्छ. देन हाइपोथेसिस फर्मेसन हुन्छ, हाइपोथेसिस फर्मेसन हुन्छ. त्यसपछि एक्सपेरिमेन्टेसन टेक्स प्लेस and takes place परीक्षण हुन्छ. And what discovery of theory, for example social linguistic theory, psycholinguistic theory, applied linguistic theory, etc. And linguistic is what one separate discipline we understand. It describes the nature of language. के भाषा कसरी बनेको छ भनेर यसको नेचर नै describe गर्छ. So it studies language at different levels, at each level or different levels हैन. Language at each level, for example phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatic, etc. And it also studies and describes human languages from the production point of view, organizational point of view, and what developmental perspectives or point of view. यसरी हेर्छ. यति कुरा this is what very basic. Just a minute. यो हाम्रो छलफललाई मैले बक्समा राखिदिन्छु. Okay, this is just what we discussed. Now basic concepts, what I have written here is like this. Linguistics is the science of human language. Science of human language, it is studied scientifically. So it studies language from production, transmission, perception, and functional point of view, developmental, organizational point of view. So from production, transmission, perception, and organizational, and developmental. Yes. So developmental and what functional perspective. Now see, it studies each level of language, sounds production, phonetics, patterning of sounds or arrangement of sounds to make words. This is what phonology. And word formation, morphology, sentence formation, sentence syntax. Then dictionary meaning of the words, literal meaning, general meaning, this is semantics, contextual meaning, this is what, and this is pragmatics. So dictionary meaning or literal meaning or general meaning. This is what direct meaning, general, direct, सीधा अर्थ दिने चाहिँ semantics हो. तर context अनुसार फरक अर्थ हुन सक्छ. कन्टेक्स्टले मिनिङलाई डिटरमाइन गर्छ. सो दिस इज व्हाट pragmatics. यति कुराहरु चाहिँ हामीले हेर्न पर्यो. यदि हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ नाउ फोनेटिक्स फोनोलोजी के हो त भन्दाखेरि सिम्पली धेरै कुरा यहाँ नहेरौं, थोरै कुरा एउटा दुईटा कुराहरु हेरौं हैन. फोनेटिक्स एकदमै छोटो भाइ, हामी धेरै पढ्दैन यसको. फोनेटिक्स इज one branch of linguistics, branch of linguistics branch हो हैन. Linguistics, it studies human speech sounds, human speech sounds लाई चाहिँ अध्ययन गर्छ हैन. It studies human speech sounds from 3 points of view. 3 angle what I say, 3 POINT points of views, points of view, 3 perspectives, 3 perspectives. 3 दृष्टिकोण what I say, sound. For example, production point of view, one is how sounds are produced. Production point of view, एउटा चाहिँ योबाट हेर्छ. अर्को भनेको ट्रान्समिसन TRANSMI transmission TRANSMI transmission point of view बाट हेर्छ. अर्को चाहिँ then or another is what perception point of view. Perception point of view, PERCEPTION, perception point of view. मात्र के भन्नु भने phonetics is one branch of linguistics. Linguistics भन्ने बित्तिकै भाषाको अध्ययन गर्नु परिहाल्यो. One branch of linguistics and अर्को यो पनि भन्न सकिन्छ. It is also called one level of language. One level of language. Phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, these are the levels of language. So we can call it one level of language, one branch of linguistics. It studies human speech sounds. It studies from human speech sounds from 3 perspectives. Point of production point of view. The production point of view, what I heard saying, what speech organs organs are used, who are organs or organs are used. So we have different articulators, articulators, we have speech organs. Then what kind of articulators or organs of speech are used to produce particular sounds? For example, for example, the sound pa, यो pa sound produce हुनको लागि चाहिँ कुन organs of speech involved हुन्छ होला? Can you write in the chat box? Which organs of speech will be involved? What speech organs? Which speech organs are involved? Involved. Which speech organs are involved? One. Then how? For example, how the sound pa is produced, PRODUCED produced. Now I check your chat box. Lower lip and upper lip. Pa lower lip, upper lip. Okay. Low upper lip and lower teeth. Teeth pa sound produce teeth use the bilevel sound of pa. Bilevel sounds ma lower lip and upper lip. Duita lip use 2 lips come close together. Yes, blocking the ear stream. This is 2 lips are involved. For example, so phonetics studies. Phonetics says phonetics phonetics informs inform phonetics inform 2 lips come together. 2 lips come together and produce. And phonetics informs that while producing the sounds, the sound pa, two leaves come together and come together and produce learners. So this kind of study is phonetics. Phonetics ले हेर्ने भनेको कुन साउन्ड कसरी प्रोड्युस हुन्छ, कतिवटा साउन्ड छ, कुन साउन्ड कसरी प्रोड्युस हुन्छ, अनि गरा which speech organs are involved and articulators are involved, which are the active articulators, which are the passive articulators. यो सबै हेर्ने भनेको phonetics को काम हो हैन. How many speech organs are there, जस्तै यहाँ how many speech organs are हैन are there, कतिवटा छन् स्पीच अर्गन्सहरु हैन, and how many sounds are there, how many speech sounds are there, कतिवटा साउन्डहरु छ, organs of speech को हो, कुन कुन हो हैन, what are the active articulators, कुन कुन active articulators हो हैन, articulators हैन, what are the articulators हैन, what are the active articulators, what are the passive articulators हैन, यो सबै अध्ययन गर्ने चाहिँ what are the passive articulators, यो सबै अध्ययन गर्ने काम कसको हो. Then phonetics. Phonetics is what? One branch of linguistics. We can also say it is one level of language. It studies human speech sounds from three perspectives. One is our production point of view. Production point of view, what are how many speech sounds we have? Then how many speech organs are there? Do we have? What are the active articulators, passive articulators, and then what? Which speech organs are involved to produce? Which speech organs are involved for the production of speech sound? यो कुराहरु चाहिँ phonetics भन्छ. For example, how the sound po is produced भन्दाखेरि phonetics informs that while producing the sound po, two leaves come close together, together, they completely block ear stem, ear stem la block गरिदिन्छ, STREAM, ear stem, and what produce the sound po with explosion, EXPLO, yes, explosion. यति भन्ने काम चाहिँ phonetics को हो के. यति कुरा बुझौं. So organs of speech it studies, sound system it studies, how sounds are produced it studies. यति भइसकेपछि के भन्छ phonetics को knowledge भयो भने के हुँदै रहेछ, इंग्लिश को साउन्ड्स यतिवटा हो, यो साउन्डहरु यसरी उच्चारण हुन्छ, यो साउन्डहरु उच्चारण गर्दा यो आर्टिकुलेटर्सहरु युज हुन्छ भन्ने नलेजले भोलि बच्चाहरुलाई चाहिँ के गर्न सकिन्छ भने we can help students to pronounce the sounds, then to help them recognize the number of sounds, हैन, पढाउन सक्यो नि. यही साउन्ड सिस्टम नभएर अहिले हामीलाई इंग्लिशमा बच्चाहरुलाई के भन्छ राम्रोसँग इंग्लिश सिकाउन सकेको छैन, टिचरमै यो साउन्ड सिस्टमको नलेज छैन, हैन, भनेको फोनेटिक्सको नलेज राम्रो हुन पर्ने रहेछ भनेर बुझ्नु पर्यो एउटा कुरा, हैन. देन ट्रान्समिसन पोइन्ट अफ भ्यू मिन्स फ्रम स्पिकर टु लिसनर कसरी जान्छ र लिसनरले कसरी रिसिभ गर्छ भन्ने कुरा पनि फोनेटिक्सको एरिया हो, हैन. सो फ्रम स्पिकर टु लिसनर कसरी जान्छ एउटा. देन this procession point of view ma how listener receives sounds produced by the speaker. यो हेर्ने चाहिँ फेरि के भने perception point of view, transmission point of view, and then production point of view. This is what phonetics. यति मात्र बुझौं कि phonetics is one branch of linguistics. It is one level of language. It studies human speech sounds from production point of view. Like it studies about the speech organs. It talks about active articulators and passive articulators, and then it also studies different organs of speech will be involved to produce particular sounds. For example, one example दिउँ यति वर्षी हुन्छ किनभने number of human speech sounds यही आउँछ कतिवटा speech sound छ भन्ने कुरा यही आउँछ र तिनीहरू कसरी उच्चारण हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा यही आउँछ भनेपछि यो नलेज चाहिँ टिचरहरुमा हुनु पर्यो if teacher has this kind of knowledge then then what happens then they can utilize this concept in teaching मा चाहिँ लान सकिन्छ अहिले हाम्रो टिचरहरुमा यो सोध्यो भने साउन्ड सिस्टम सोध्यो भने majority they feel difficult to talk about that sounds and the pronunciation part यो उच्चारण गर्ने साउन्डहरु कतिवटा छ तिनीहरु कसरी मिल्छ हैन अरेन्ज हुन्छ र वर्ड बन्छ भन्ने पार्ट चाहिँ this is what difficult area हैन यो नलेज भयो भने हामी त्यहाँ लान सक्छौं now this is about phonetics and phonology is about phonology हैन phonology भनेको पनि के भने phonology is what phonology is also one branch of branch of linguistics तर यो ब्रान्चले केलाई स्टडी गर्छ भने linguistic it studies human speech sounds from the functional point of view अब यसले चाहिँ फंक्सन खोज्छ माथि फंक्सन छैन फोनेटिक्स मा फंक्सन छैन functional and ARRANG arrangement point of view अब phonology ले हेर्ने भनेको फेरि के भने how speech sounds are arranged together कसरी चाहिँ अरेन्ज गर्ने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ phonology पार्ट हो फेरि कसरी प्रोड्युस गर्ने भन्ने पार्ट चाहिँ phonetics को हो how many sounds are भन्ने phonetics को पार्ट हो what are the speech organs or articulators phonetics को पार्ट हो now sounds are there for example 44 human speech sounds are there then how do we arrange how do we put them in logical sequence and make one readable word and meaningful word भन्ने पार्ट चाहिँ phonology पार्ट हो so phonology is branch of linguistic it is also one level of language we can talk like this then it studies human speech sounds from the functional and arrangement point of view perspective त्यताबाट हेरिन्छ for example उदाहरणको रूपमा हेर्दाखेरि for example these soundहरु हैन जस्तै प भन्यो हैन अनि गएर ए साउन्ड भन्यो हैन अनि गएर न साउन्ड भयो हैन these are what प ब ट ड क ग फ ब थ द स ज म न म ल र या भने यी साउन्डहरु के हो माथि चाहिँ यिनीहरु सबै यो भनौं न प हैन ब हैन ट ड प ब ट ड क हैन क ग हैन प ब ट ड क ग हैन and then what pha हैन भ these sounds what these are the sounds we produce they are full phonemes full sounds भनेर phonetics ले हेर्छ अब यहाँ चाहिँ हामीले यो साउन्डहरुबाट चाहिँ कसरी चाहिँ अरेन्ज गरेर meaningful word बनाउने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ अब यहाँ हुन्छ like e vowel sound a हैन vowel sound a and then now nasal sound अब यो साउन्डहरु छ फर एक्जाम्पल हैन उदाहरणको लागि हामीसँग यो साउन्डहरु छ अब यो साउन्डबाट हामीले चाहिँ प ए न यो यसरी तीनटा मिलाएपछि के हुन्छ भने दिस इज वन वर्ड अ वर्ड हैन गिव्स मिनिङ अर्थ दिन्छ which is WHICH which is के हो यसको अर्थ चाहिँ एन अ राइटिङ इन्स्ट्रुमेन्ट हो यो डिभाइस हो हैन इन्स्ट्रुमेन्ट हो यो पार्ट चाहिँ के हो भने फोनोलोजीको पार्ट हो क्या sounds are arranged together in a logical sequence अब यही साउन्डलाई हामीले चाहिँ न ए प भनेको भए के हुन्थ्यो न ए प अथवा न ए प अथवा ए न प भनेको भए यसको अर्थ आउँथ्यो आउँदैन होला ए न प यस्तो दिस आर नट what meaningful यिनीहरू मिनिङफुल छैन त्यही भएर फोनेटिक्सले हेर्ने फोनोलोजीले हेर्ने भनेको सो हाउ साउन्ड्स आर grouped together arranged together in a logical sequence to form word and then what give complete meaning full meaning so this is the area of phonology and morphology ले चाहिँ हेर्ने भनेको चाहिँ so this is one level of language हैन level of language linguistics LINGU अथवा भनौँ न morphology studies how words are formed word कसरी बन्छ भने चाहिँ हेर्ने यो फेरि how words are formed कसरी बन्छ हैन it is a science of word को चाहिँ साइन्स हो it studies word formation हैन it studies word formation so this is morphology यिनीहरुको आफ्नो content area छ level छ so phonetics sound level हुन्छ phonology this is what in the arrangement part functional part मा जान्छ and morphology word formation मा जान्छ for example it also studies morphemes हैन morphs भन्छ हैन morphemes allomorph RPS allomorph and what morph MORPS morph स्टडी गर्छ जस्तै मोर्फिम भन्दा पनि तपाईको सफिक्स प्रिफिक्सहरु हैन इन्फिक्स सो मोर्फोलोजी स्टडीज यहाँ हेर्ने हो सफिक्सहरु हैन similarly similarly it studies suffix and infix and what a suffix infix then prefix etc word को formation हेर्ने बित्तिकै त how words are found भन्ने बित्तिकै त हामीले के हेर्नु पर्यो भने so morpheme morph allomorph suffix prefix infix यो सबै हेरिसकेपछि के हुन्छ भने and then this is what word is formed like this भन्ने कुराहरु भन्न सकिन्छ for example उदाहरण हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ for example like teacher the word for example the word teacher like single inverted comma right the word teacher is formed कसरी बनेको छ यो is formed morpheme कतिवटा छ MORPHEME morpheme कतिवटा छ morphemes teach एउटा full morpheme छ अर्को ER छ हैन this is teach plus ER teacher अथवा बेला teachers भनेको teach plus ER plus ES हुन्थ्यो so this kind of study morphology does teach plus ER so teach is what? Full morpheme, full morpheme. And then ER is what? This is suffix ma cha haina. ER is what? Uh, Dependent morpheme. So this is the study of what uh, you know morphology. And morphology पछि हामी आउँछौँ syntax. SYNTAX syntax. This is a level of language, right? It is, if morphology is science of word formation, syntax is what? It is SCIEN, science of what? Science of sentence. Let's say sentence कसरी बन्छ भनेर हेर्ने. This is a level of language, हैन? It is a science of sentence, or it studies how a sentence is formed, here चले, हैन? जस्तै for example उदाहरण लागि he is a boy भन्यो भने here is what? In this sentence, के छ त? In this sentence, he is what? He is subject, हैन? Subject. Is what? Is verb, हैन? Then a boy is what? A boy is what? A boy is object in object position, हैन? So subject verb object छ. यो subject position मा is छ, he छ. Object verb position मा auxiliary verb is छ, be verb, हैन? Is a verb, is a verb, हैन? एउटा verb हो. The boy is what? This is in object position. यसरी हेरेर simple sentence, complex sentence, हैन, compound sentence, यो सबै हेर्ने चाहिँ के syntax level हेर्छ. So subject verb object, अथवा there will be complex structure also, compound structure also. Connectors or coordinators can be joined, हैन? यो सबै हेर्ने काम चाहिँ के हो भने syntax को. Then semantics is what? Semantics, and this is another level of language, and this is another level of language and area of linguistics. Okay, यहाँ चाहिँ linguistics. Here, general meaning, general, or literal, literal, or direct meaning, or dictionary meaning, DICTIO. And dictionary meaning is what? Meaning is studied, STUDI, studied. This is another level of language and area of linguistic. It is related to meaning. It is related to meaning part. Meaning, here general, literal, direct, and dictionary meaning is what? Studied. Here meaning of linguistic items, linguistic items. A meaning of linguistic items is studied. Okay, so this is what semantics. Semantics ले चाहिँ meaning हेर्ने हो यो. Dictionary meaning भनेर बुझौं. General meaning, semantics studies. This is one part. Pragmatics ले चाहिँ PRAGMATIC. Pragmatics is what? This is also another area of what? Area of linguistics and level of language. Level of language. So the contextual use of it. It studies language meaning भनौँ meaning अब यसले पनि हेर्ने हैन it studies meaning aspect of language from what contextual perspective यो कन्टेक्स्टमा हेर्छ के यसले चाहिँ के भन्छ भने pragmaticsले भन्ने के हो भने pragmatics is related to how more can be communicated than it is said. भनेको भन्दा पनि धेरै कम्युनिकेसन कसरी हुन्छ यो पार्ट चाहिँ pragmatics को के so pragmatics is related to what how more gets communicated or more can be communicated than it is said भनेको भन्दा पनि धेरै कम्युनिकेसन कसरी हुन्छ भने so it depends upon the context context ले डिटरमाइन गर्ने हो हैन जस्तै फर एक्जाम्पल उदाहरणको लागि फर एक्जाम्पल एउटा उदाहरण दिँदाखेरि जस्तै come here भने हैन come here भने so simple this come here is what simple expression but come here the teacher or boss भनौं न अथवा the boss said to his worker हैन employee or worker or employee employee with what the boss said to his worker with what angry face one the boss said to his worker with angry face the expression हैन come here हो यो भने के हुन्छ नि come here सामान्य अर्थ यहाँ आउनु र यहाँ आऊ भन्नु र with angry face come here भन्नुमा चाहिँ a kind of meaning will be different so त्यो angry face भनेको चाहिँ context हो के so context त्यो उसले चाहिँ सामान्य यहाँ आइज मात्र नभने होला अथवा उसले के अरु बढी अर्थ दिन खोजे होला हैन so this is what more can be communicated than is said भनेको भन्दा पनि धेरै कम्युनिकेट हुन्छ यो pragmatics को एरिया हो then context is what important context determines the meaning context ले determine गर्छ के भन्न खोजेको भन्ने कुरा this is the area of what pragmatics then this kind of knowledge we can use in the what language teaching context language teaching मा लान सकिन्छ हैन so discourse is what this is higher level of this is higher level of language हैन higher level of language so higher level of language and it studies language in conversational context you know so this is what discourse pattern or discourse you know and then this is what related to conversational language यो कन्भर्सेसन मा जाँदाखेरि जस्तै कन्भर्सेसनमा हाम्रो चाहिँ धेरै रुल हुन्छ नि हैन conversational language has a certain what rules हुन्छ जस्तै who starts conversation हैन कसले सुरु गर्ने हैन then turn taking कति बेला बोल्ने हैन त्यसपछि how to terminate कसरी end गर्ने etc these will be what in discourse यो कुरा चाहिँ हेर्नु पर्छ how to initiate how to take turn how to terminate how to continue maintain retain conversation these are the areas of discourse यो चाहिँ यो लेभलमा हेरिन्छ जस्तै how to initiate, कसरी सुरु गर्ने हैन, how to take turn, बोल्ने पालो कसरी लिने हैन, then how to maintain कसरी यसलाई मेन्टेन गर्दै जाने हैन, how to terminate, कसरी क्लोज गर्ने. So this everything will be what in the conversational language. This is what discourse level. So these are what different levels of language: phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, discourse, you know. So linguistics, these are the areas of linguistics. When teacher, an English teacher has knowledge of these different areas, of course he can plan and conduct everyday lesson activities to support students to learn English effectively, efficiently, teaching materials accordingly. He can prepare and conduct classroom activities. I want to check your chat box also. So allomorph and morph भन्नुभएको छ. Morph is what the allomorph is variation हुन्छ हैन, like phone phoneme allophones हैन, phone phoneme allophones, morph allomorph, morph allomorph र morpheme यिनीहरु पनि उस्तै हो. phoneme phoneme allophone थाहा छ भने यो allomorph morph morpheme एउटै हो. morpheme भनेको त फुल फोनिम हो हैन, morpheme भनेको यसलाई फुल के भन्ने यसलाई पक्नुस् है. एलोफोन भनेको भेरिएसन हो के, भेरिएसन अफ. जस्तै प भन्यो भने प इज फुल फोनिम हैन, यही प को चाहिँ एस्पिरेटेड प हुन्छ हैन. एस्पिरेटेड प राख्यो भने यो भेरिएसन अफ प साउन्ड भयो हैन, दैट इज एलोफोन. भेरिएसन आउनु नै एलोफोन एलोमर्फ हुन्छ के. So yes, pa is pure phoneme. Then aspirated pa is what? This is this is the variation of pa sound, and that is what allophone. त्यो allophone हुन्छ हैन. जस्तो त्यही साउन्ड को अरु जस्तो क हेरौं हैन, क भनेको फुल फोनिम भयो. यसको एस्पिरेटेड क भन्दाखेरि जस्तै CAT cat भन्दाखेरि हामी के भन्छ, CAT cat भन्दाखेरि क या त क्याट हुन्छ एउटा, अर्को ख्याट पनि हुन्छ हैन. कलाई एस्पिरेसन हुन्छ ख्याट, एउटा क्याट एउटा ख्याट. सो क्याट भन्नु पनि त्यही हो, ख्याट भन्नु पनि त्यही हो. त्यो क एन्ड अनएस्पिरेटेड क र एस्पिरेटेड क दुईटा यसको भेरिएसन आयो हैन. यो भेरिएसन हुनु बित्तिकै एलोफोन हुन्छ, एलोफोन्स हुन्छ. एलोफोन्स भनेको त्यो भयो हैन, भेरिएसन आउँछ. तर फोनिम भनेको फुल फोनिम, दैट इज डिस्टिंक्टिभ. त्यो फोनिमलाई चेन्ज गर्यो भने मिनिङमा पनि चेन्ज आउँछ हैन. दैट इज व्हाट फोनिम. फोन भनेको चाहिँ व्हाट एक्ज्याक्टली वी प्रोड्युस, जे चाहिँ एक्ज्याक्टली प्रोड्युस हुन्छ नि त्यो चाहिँ फोन हो. फोन हो के, त्यो फिजिकल सेपमा आउने चाहिँ फोन हो. व्हाट एक्ज्याक्टली वी प्रोड्युस, दैट इज भिजिबल इन द फिजिकल सेप, दैट इज फोन हैन. फोनिम भनेको चाहिँ मिनिङफुल एन्ड डिस्टिंक्टिभ साउन्ड. एलोफोन भनेको भेरिएसनमा जान्छ, ठ्याक्कै त्यो चाहिँ मोर्फिममा लाने हो. मोर्फिम भनेको यतिकै मिनिङफुल वर्ड भनौं, मिनिङफुल वर्ड भनौं एकछिनलाई. देन यसलाई म तपाईहरुलाई यो भोलि अलि म क्लियर पार्दिन्छु है. यो एलोफोन, मोर्फिम, फोन, फोनिम यो सबैलाई ल आजलाई इन्ड गरौँ, भोलि त्यहाँबाट सुरु गरौँ ल. इम्प्लिकेसन र साउन्ड सिस्टम दुईटा छ, यति गरेपछि हामी सक्छौं. भोलि हामी यो फोन, फोनिम, एलोफोन, मोर्फ, मोर्फिम, एलोमोर्फ यति कुरा छ. यो सुरु गरेर लिङ्ग्विस्टिकको इम्प्लिकेसनमा जान्छौं. देन साउन्ड सिस्टम हेरेर त्यस वी कन्क्लुड है.